The world is full of mysteries and uncertainties, which leaves a lot of people puzzled. However, some people seem to have it figured out, like Nikola Tesla, who claimed the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are the key to the universe. Why did Tesla make that intriguing statement, and how can you make it work for you? Join us as we explore the mind of the brilliant scientist and learn why he said the numbers 369 are the key to the universe. Many people know of Tesla today as the company that produces the most electric cars globally. While the company is led by Elon Musk, whom many people have described as extraordinary, many decades before Tesla was founded, a genius by the name of Nikola Tesla walked the surface of the earth. While the brilliance of the scientist is never in doubt, a lot of people are intrigued about his health, and this is for no reason other than the strange life led by Tesla. More so, despite his intimidating intellect and numerous world-changing inventions, Tesla led a very unremarkable life, died a very unremarkable death, and was obsessed with the numbers 3, 6, and 9 his whole life. Tesla was born in what is Croatia today in 1856. His father was a priest of the Serbian Orthodox Church. From an early age, Tesla began displaying the obsessiveness that would confound and amuse those around him. For example, the future genius could memorize entire books and store logarithmic tables in his brain. He effortlessly mastered languages, but his greatest quirk was working through days and nights on only a few hours of sleep. By the age of 19, he was studying electrical engineering at the Polytechnic Institute at Graz in Austria, and it didn't take long for him to be known as a star student. He once took up an ongoing debate with a professor over what he called design flaws in the direct current motors that the professor demonstrated in class. Showing his stubborn streak, Tesla described the incident this way: "In attacking the problem again, I almost regretted that the struggle was soon to end. I had so much energy to spare. When I undertook the task, it was not with a resolve such as men often make. With me, it was a sacred vow, a question of life and death. I knew that I would perish if I failed. Now I felt that the battle was won. Back in the deep recesses of the brain was the solution, but I could not yet give it outward expression." Each time you pull a switch and light floods your room, you have Tesla to thank for it. He spent the next 6 years of his life obsessing about electromagnetic fields and a hypothetical motor driven by an alternating current that would and should work. He was so consumed by this that he couldn't even focus on his schoolwork. But who needed a degree when he would go on to become the father of electricity, right? Professors at the university were also concerned about Tesla's unhealthy sleeping habit that they felt compelled to warn his father. But the genius seemed to cope fine with a small amount of sleep as he lived well into his 80s. But Tesla did not manage to finish his studies. Instead, he became a gambling addict, lost all his tuition money, dropped out of school, and suffered a nervous breakdown. In 1881, Tesla moved to Budapest after recovering from his breakdown. He was walking through a park with a friend, reciting poetry, when a vision came to him. Visions would become an important part of Tesla's life. But in that park, with a stick, Tesla drew a crude diagram in the dirt of a motor using the principle of rotating magnetic fields created by 2 or more alternating currents. While AC electrification had been employed before, there would never be a practical working motor running on alternating current until he invented his induction motor several years later. By June 1884, the American chapter of his life was ready to begin, but not on a prosperous note. He landed in New York City with only 4 cents to his name. But he had something else in his pocket that aptly defined his life: a letter of recommendation from Charles Batchelor, a former employer to Thomas Edison, which simply read, "My dear Edison, I know 2 great men, and you are one of them. The other is this young man." A meeting was arranged, and once Tesla described the engineering work he was doing, Edison signed him on the spot. Edison offered him $50,000 to improve upon the DC generation plants Edison favored, which Tesla accomplished within a few months. However, Edison refused to pay up, and Tesla quickly quit and began digging ditches for a living. Meanwhile, Tesla was destined for much more than digging ditches. Word quickly got around about the potential for investment in Tesla's AC motor, so the Western Union Company put Tesla to work in a lab not far from Edison's office, where he designed AC power systems that are still used around the world. Again, Tesla claimed the motors he built there appeared to him in visions or as he imagined them. He would simply reproduce them without changing a thing, and they worked as he expected. One of the greatest quirks of this brilliant researcher, apart from his obsession with the numbers 3, 6, and 9, but 3 in particular, was how he could walk away from so much money. Tesla could have become a billionaire, if not the richest man, but he chose to let go. Here is how it transpired. Tesla patented his AC motors and power systems, which at the time were said to be the most valuable inventions since the telephone. George Westinghouse quickly realized that Tesla's designs might be just what he needed in his efforts to overtake Edison's DC current. So he licensed Tesla's patents for $60,000 in stocks and cash and royalties based on how much electricity Westinghouse could sell. He would prevail in what would be the war of the currents, but at a steep cost in litigation and competition for both Westinghouse and Edison's General Electric Company. To prevent bankruptcy, which he could see in his future, Westinghouse attempted to persuade Tesla to grant him relief from the royalties they both agreed on, and Tesla, in gratitude to a man that never tried to swindle him, tore up the royalty contract, including the millions of dollars he was already owed and billions in future revenue. Electricity was not the only achievement of this brilliant scientist. His mind was too fertile for that. Before the turn of the 20th century, Tesla had produced the design of a powerful coil that could generate high voltages and frequencies, leading to new forms of light such as neon and fluorescent, as well as X-rays. Tesla also discovered that these coils, soon to be called Tesla coils, made it possible to send and receive radio signals. He quickly filed for American patents in 1897, beating the Italian inventor Guglielmo Marconi to the punch. Tesla took the "believe in yourself" mantra to a whole new level, as he believed his mind to be without equal. He wasn't above chiding his contemporaries, even those that once hired him, such as the great Thomas Edison. About Edison, Tesla said, "If Edison had a needle to find in a haystack, he would proceed at once with the diligence of the bee to examine straw after straw until he found the object of his search. I was a sorry witness of such doing that a little theory and calculation would have saved him 90% of his labor." And while Tesla was busy inventing world-changing things, something else was going on in his life: his love for the number 3, which has effects down to this day as it continues to inspire those who believe the numbers will help them manifest their desires. For geniuses, one of the burdens of the privilege is noticing everything other people don't. Tesla was affected by this, and he found a numerical pattern that shapes human life. In fact, Tesla once said that 3, 6, and 9 held the very key to the universe. Many self-help practitioners today have built their ideas off of Tesla's theory on how numbers influence life outcomes. What did Tesla see in the numbers 3, 6, and 9? Well, there are patterns in there. For example, doubling 1, then 2, and so on creates a pattern that excludes 3, 6, and 9. Scientist Marco Rodin believes that 3, 6, 9 then represents a flux field, or a vector from the third to the fourth dimension. Apart from that, working on Tesla's statement, many people have come up with concepts that show the truly unique nature of the number 3. For instance, there are recurring patterns like the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. You also have the powers of 2 binary system, which is how cells are divided from 1 into 2, then the cells divide into 4, then 8, 16, and so forth. Some call this the blueprint of God because living things undergo this process. And here is another thought that might blow your mind. There is a school of thought that 9 in particular, and maybe 3, 6, and 9, might represent the non-physical world, the energy that makes up thought and consciousness, while the other figures are the stuff of the physical world, making up the patterns we observe in nature. Some have suggested that 3, 6, and 9 can take a person into the fourth dimension. Some believe 3, 6, and 9 can represent energy, frequency, and vibration. And that is not all. Number theory, which forms the basis of mathematics, essentially deals with prime numbers, which are the DNA of the number world. Yet, so far as the primes go, just as DNA in the body is comprised of 3 chemical subunits, sequenced 3 at a time within genes, the father of all prime numbers is in fact the number 3. 3 is also special because it's the only number that is the sum of all the numbers preceding it. You might have heard the Latin phrase omne trium perfectum, or everything that comes in threes is perfect, or every set of three is complete. Take the very origin of the universe, and you would see the number 3 keeps popping up. After the Big Bang, the 3 elements of the universe, dark energy, dark matter, and normal matter, burst into existence, along with, wait for it, the triplets, space, time, and matter. After this, space split into 3 dimensions, time dilated into 3 phases, and matter minced into 3 states. And for every speck of matter that arose, it found its equal and opposite reaction in antimatter. It was not until such binary opposition found its synthesis in that all-important and one, thus resulting in 3 entities, could the newborn universe have started growing. Then the 3 generations of quarks and 3 generations of leptons came up, and this was followed by 3 types of color change. As for those quarks, 3 ended up in a proton and 3 quarks in a neutron. Indeed, the 3 main parts of an atom, neutrons, protons, and electrons, ensued. Even as the universe expanded, 3 forms or types of galaxies emerged. But then we also have the 3 Newton laws of motion, and we usually reference things in 3 dimensions. In his life, Tesla manifested his obsession in numerous ways. He would walk 3 times around the block before entering the building. Tesla would wash his dishes with 18 napkins. You see, 18 is divisible by 9, 6, and 3. The inventor would also only stay in hotel rooms that had a number divisible by 3. But Tesla was not the first and only person to see the significance of numbers. Throughout history, numbers have shaped things like religion, culture, lifestyle, and so forth. Take religion as an example, where we are again confronted by the mighty law of 3. One of the oldest religions in the world, Hinduism, contains what is known as the Trimurti. Chinese philosophy contains 3 pillars: Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. And Christianity, which about 33% of the world adheres to, has the concept of 3 in a focal position. For instance, 3 Gospels say 3 wise men came bearing 3 types of gifts to Jesus of Nazareth. In his ministry's brief span, Jesus raised 3 people from the dead and predicted his disciple Peter would deny him 3 times, all in the wake of his impending crucifixion. There is also the concept of Trinity in Christianity, which seeks to explain the relationship between 3 entities that are taken to be one or completeness. While nursing a fondness for the number 3, Tesla developed another type of fondness which you probably guessed wrong. He never fell in love with a woman, but chose to lavish his attention on pigeons. When he lived in New York, he spent many hours feeding pigeons in the park. He would also cart home any that was injured so he could nurse them back to health. He would not close the windows in his hotel so the pigeons could visit when they wished, resulting in a nightmare for the cleaning staff. He once even asked a hotel chef to prepare a special mix of seeds for his feathered friends. This affiliation with pigeons was puzzling for people that knew Tesla because of another one of his oddities. He was a well-known germaphobe. Tesla never married, but he admitted to falling in love with a very special white pigeon that visited him regularly. He reportedly said, "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life." And if you were a married man, Tesla did not believe you could be the source of great inventions. But if you try his 369 method, you may manage to achieve some of your goals. What is the 369 method? If you are a regular user of TikTok, you might have come across the 369 manifestation movement that blossomed during the pandemic. It is a method that has been traced back to Tesla by the inventor themselves. This method was created by law of attraction guru Karen Yee, who says she manifested $10,165.46 from doing the practice consistently. When you think about it, if you've ever wished or longed for something and imagined it happening, like getting a specific job or meeting your soulmate, you've manifested and you may not have even realized it. Here is how it works. You figure out what you want to attract, for example, a good job, money, house, romantic relationship, or so forth. You then make an affirmation to hone in on exactly what you want to attract, as though it has already happened. For instance, you can write down, "I am so happy to be working as an English teacher to adults in Madrid." As you scribble, envisioning that your affirmation has come to fruition along with the emotions attached to it can help solidify it even more so. You can imagine yourself in a Madrid classroom teaching. You're happy and smiling at the students. If you are new to manifestation, you might wonder how manifestation works or if it works at all. But you should know that according to Rachel Gibler, manifestation coach, the subconscious mind is where 90% of the actions that we take in our lives come from. It is based on past experiences, thoughts, and belief systems. So for your manifestation to succeed, you must tap into that energy in your subconscious. You must always believe that what you want is possible and you will get it if you put in the work. So how does Tesla's 369 come in? Once you have identified what you want to manifest, grab your journal because you will be needing it a lot from this point forward. There are 3 steps here. When you wake up, write down your affirmation 3 times. In the afternoon, write it down 6 times. Before bed, write it down 9 times. This method works because it could potentially help ground your mind, intentions, and actions in a way that attracts more of what you want to see in your life. If it's at the forefront of your mind, you most likely will be able to recognize the opportunities as opposed to going about your day on autopilot, recycling the same old thoughts and feelings and attracting the same unwanted stuff. Meanwhile, using this method, you have to do something else that Tesla did. Take action. In addition to writing down your manifestations in the present tense and visualizing them as though they've already happened, you must take aligned steps toward your goal.